As we age, our bodies undergo a series of changes, some visible, some subtle but equally impactful. One of the most critical changes occurs in our skeletal system. After the age of 60, the bones become more fragile, the density tends to decrease, and the risk of fractures or osteoporosis significantly rises, while calcium and vitamin D often take center stage in discussions about bone health. An equally important but less explored topic is the role of diet in undermining all those efforts. Some foods, though seemingly harmless or even healthy, can quietly erode the integrity of bones. According to experts, certain dietary choices can accelerate bone loss, hinder calcium absorption, and promote inflammation that weakens skeletal strength. Let's explore 6 such foods that, unbeknownst to many, could be silently chipping away at bone health after 60. Soda and carbonated beverages. Soda is one of the most widely consumed beverages globally, but its impact on aging bones is often underestimated. The problem doesn't lie only in the high sugar content, which is bad in itself, but more specifically in phosphoric acid. This additive, commonly found in colas and dark sodas, gives the drink its tangy flavor and extends shelf life. However, studies have shown that excess phosphorus can interfere with calcium absorption. When phosphorus levels in the blood become disproportionately high compared to calcium, the body tries to balance the ratio by pulling calcium from the bones. The Framingham Osteoporosis Study, a long-term research project on bone health, found that women who drank cola daily had lower bone mineral density than those who consumed it occasionally or not at all. It's not just cola either. Many flavored sodas, including diet versions, contain similar additives. Moreover, soda often replaces milk or other calcium-rich beverages in the diet, reducing total calcium intake further. The caffeine content in sodas also contributes to calcium loss through increased urinary excretion. Combined, these effects make regular soda consumption a serious concern for bone health, especially in individuals over 60. Salt or sodium chloride is a flavor enhancer found in virtually every processed food. While the body needs sodium to function correctly, too much of it can have adverse effects, particularly on the bones. Excessive sodium intake increases calcium loss through urine. This calcium loss, if not compensated by dietary sources or supplements, may contribute to bone thinning over time. A study published in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research found that postmenopausal women who had high sodium intakes excreted more calcium in their urine and had significantly lower bone density. Most health organizations recommend limiting sodium intake to less than 300 milligrams per day, but the average person easily exceeds this through canned soups, frozen meals, deli meats, and even bread. The insidious thing about salt is how it hides in foods not typically associated with being salty. Breakfast cereals, salad dressings, and even sweet-baked goods can contain surprising amounts. For seniors, it's essential to read nutrition labels closely and prioritize fresh, whole foods over processed items. Replacing salt with herbs and spices can also reduce sodium intake, while still keeping meals flavorful. Caffeine in large quantities. Caffeine is a stimulant found in coffee, tea, chocolate, and some medications. In moderation, it can have certain health benefits, such as increased alertness and improved mood. However, when it comes to bone health after 60, too much caffeine can be detrimental. Excessive caffeine consumption has been linked to calcium loss in the urine, which over time can decrease bone density. According to a study published in Osteoporosis International, women over 65 who consumed more than 300 milligrams of caffeine per day, roughly equivalent to 3 cups of coffee, had higher rates of bone loss than those who consumed less. Caffeine appears to reduce calcium absorption in the intestines, which means even if you're taking supplements or eating dairy, your body may not be making full use of it. To minimize risk, experts suggest limiting caffeine intake to no more than 300 milliliters per day, ideally less for those already at risk of osteoporosis. Opting for decaffeinated beverages or herbal teas, many of which have bone-strengthening properties themselves, can be a wise swap. It's also important to space caffeine consumption away from calcium-rich meals or supplements, as timing can impact how much calcium the body absorbs. Enjoying the occasional glass of wine or beer is not inherently harmful, but regular or heavy alcohol consumption can significantly impact bone health. particularly in seniors. Alcohol interferes with the balance of calcium, vitamin D, and hormones necessary for maintaining strong bones. It can reduce the body's ability to form new bone and may even accelerate the breakdown of existing bone. Research from the National Institutes of Health indicates that chronic heavy drinkers have higher risks of fractures and osteoporosis. Alcohol can also damage the cells responsible for bone formation, osteoblasts, while increasing the activity of osteoclasts, the cells that break down bone tissue. This imbalance contributes to a net loss of bone over time. Even moderate drinking can be risky if it becomes a daily habit, especially in individuals with other risk factors for bone loss. Furthermore, alcohol increases the risk of falls by impairing balance and coordination, a dangerous scenario for someone with already fragile bones. If alcohol is part of your lifestyle, keeping it limited, no more than 1 drink per day, is a smart approach to protecting your skeletal health.
Highly processed and packaged foods.
Processed foods are often convenient and tasty, but they are among the top culprits when it comes to hidden threats to bone health. These products typically contain a combination of refined sugars, excess salt, unhealthy fats, and synthetic preservatives, all of which can negatively impact bone metabolism. Refined sugars, common in baked goods, sugary cereals, and snacks, have been shown to increase calcium excretion and reduce magnesium absorption, both vital minerals for bone health. Additionally, high sugar intake may increase the production of inflammatory cytokines, which in turn can stimulate bone loss. Many packaged foods also lack the essential nutrients required to build and maintain strong bones, such as calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K. Study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism concluded that higher intake of ultra-processed foods was associated with lower bone mineral density and higher risk of fracture. This is especially concerning for older adults who may rely more heavily on packaged meals for convenience. The takeaway here is not necessarily to eliminate all processed foods, but to be more selective and vigilant. Prioritize nutrient-dense options with fewer additives and preservatives, and look for products that specifically include beneficial ingredients like whole grains, seeds, and fortified nutrients. Cooking at home using fresh ingredients remains one of the most reliable ways to control what goes into your body. High-protein diets from animal sources. Protein is essential for bone health, this much is true. But not all protein sources are created equal. And when consumed in excess, especially from animal-based products, they can pose a hidden risk to bones. High-protein diets that rely heavily on red meat and full-fat dairy can lead to a condition known as metabolic acidosis. In response, the body may leach calcium from bones to neutralize the increased acid levels in the blood. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition observed that individuals with a high intake of animal protein, but low fruit and vegetable consumption had lower bone density. On the other hand, those who consumed balanced amounts of plant-based, protein and alkaline-forming foods, like vegetables and legumes, showed better bone health outcomes. This doesn't mean that seniors should avoid animal protein altogether. Far from it. Lean meats, eggs, and low-fat dairy can still be valuable sources of nutrients. The key lies in balance. Including more plant-based proteins like lentils, beans, tofu, and quinoa can provide the needed protein without tipping the body's acid-base balance. Additionally, fruits and vegetables help buffer the acidic effects of animal protein, creating a more bone-friendly environment in the body. For those over 60, combining a moderate protein intake with adequate calcium and plenty of vegetables is one of the best ways to support bones without unintended side effects. It's also a good idea to consult with a registered dietitian if considering significant dietary changes, especially if you have existing medical conditions. Final thoughts. Bone health after 60 is not just about taking supplements or drinking more milk. It's about being mindful of what foods may be silently working against your efforts. Soda, salt, caffeine, alcohol, processed foods, and excess animal protein each carry their own hidden risks. The good news is most of these risks can be managed with awareness and moderation. By making thoughtful choices, swapping soda for mineral water, reducing salt and sugar intake, moderating alcohol and caffeine, and choosing whole, fresh foods over processed alternatives, you can make a real difference in preserving bone strength. It's never too late to support your bones, And small dietary changes today can lead to stronger, more resilient bones tomorrow. Expert advice makes one thing clear. When it comes to protecting your skeleton in the later years of life, what you don't eat can be just as important as what you do.